Hi, welcome to the 12th House, a podcast where we just examine the nooks and crannies and dark corners of wellness, well-being, and spirituality space and shine our little flashlights in there to see what the fuck is up. I'm Michelle Pelizon, your host and the head witch in charge here at Holisticism. Holisticism is the parent company of the 12th House, the Cusp, and the North Node, and I am delighted that you're here with us today. Welcome! And oh my God, today's guest is so good, and I can't wait to introduce you to him. But before I do, I have a couple of updates that I need you to know about. If you normally fast forward through the updates, I think you're going to want to hear these. So maybe just pump the brakes on the fast forward button. First thing that's up is our Summer Solstice Festival. Oh, also in the background, I am sitting in my backyard in my garden. So you might hear birds. You might hear a rogue helicopter every now and then because I do live in LA, but maybe you'll get some messages if you really turn up the volume and you can hear all the little spirits and entities that are speaking to us. Anyways, it's our Summer Solstice Festival this week. I'm so excited about this. We are hosting 4 days of free virtual events from basically 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every single day, Pacific Standard Time. And it's going to be so fun. We have astrology readings. We have human design readings. We have numerology readings. We have witchcraft. We have panels, conversations. We have fireside chats with your favorite wellness entrepreneurs. We have intuitive business classes. It is everything you could want and more, honestly. It's going to be really, really fun. And every class is free. Every class/event is free. And I hope that you love it. I hope that you sign up and that you enjoy it and you invite your friends. The reason that we wanted to put this together is because, man, oh man, has it been a hell of a 18 months. And we wanted to celebrate coming to what feels like the end of this period of time, COVID time, and also celebrate summer solstice, which represents this big portal energy, BPE, and this shift in summer. So I hope you can come and join us. Every class is free and you can sign up at the link below. And by the way, if the timing doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. We'll send you a replay of every class that you're signed up for. If you don't sign up for class, I can't send you a replay. It just becomes completely untenable because I get hundreds of emails from people asking for the replay from blah, 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 and it's too much. So I am one person. But sign up for class, any class that you want, and I'll send you the replays as long as you're signed up for class. So be sure to join us. That's going to be a really good time. And take class with me if you're a little curious about what intuitive business is. I'm teaching on archetypes and archetypal journeys. I'm teaching on creative brains and how to organize them and get yourself creative intuitive brains and some other cool classes, including on future visioning and timeline collapsing. So if you want to double click on those ideas, I'm there for you. And our next piece of exciting news and information is the North Node doors are opening on June 20th. Yay! On Summer Solstice Day. So the doors to the North Node are open from June 20th to June 27th. And you may have heard this on the podcast, but it bears repeating because I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about it. And I don't want this to blindside anyone, but this is the last time we're going to open the doors to the North Node in this way. So we typically open the doors to the North Node every 6 months, and we have hundreds of people join us. And this is the last time we're going to do that because we are at capacity. We realized as a team that to give the care and attention and magic and, the experience we want them to have, we can't have tens of thousands of people join us. We have to limit the number of people in this community or in this class or in this little, intuitive business school. This feels like magical master's program. And so we are almost at capacity. And I think that this last time we open the doors is going to push us over capacity. So we are limited on the number of spots that we have available. We only have 200 spots available. And yeah, it's probably going to sell out. So if you are not on the wait list, make sure that you get on the wait list or on the VIP wait list is what we're calling it. I'll put the link below so that you can sign up and make sure you're on there. Right now we have about triple the number of people on the wait list that we do actually have spots available for the North Node. If you're on the wait list, you're going to hear about when the doors are open first, and you'll get first dibs on spots. That also means that you'll get first dibs on scholarship opportunities because we have a limited number of scholarship spots. That's our sliding scale spots. So if you identify as someone who wants a scholarship to the North Node, then make sure you're on the VIP list because those are going to go really fast. We have a limited number of them. And if you just want to join the North Node in general this time around, I would also recommend being on the VIP waitlist. We're going to send you guys an email first, and then we'll let the rest of the community know. We have about 75,000 people on our email list. So I think there's a pretty good chance that this will close all the spots down, just as a heads up. And I want you to be able to join if you want to. And this isn't like oh my God, it's gone forever. So if you're not sure if you want to join this time around, it's totally fine. We're just changing up the way that things work around here. We'll have basically rolling admission moving forward for everyone who's on the wait list. So either way, I think joining the wait list is a good call. And as people graduate from the North Node, we'll open up a couple of spots probably every month, depending on how many spots open up and are available. So if you want first access to them, if you want to know when spots are open so that you can join us, then make sure you're on the VIP wait list. Okay. And yes, doors are open to North Node from June 20th to June 27th. If we happen to sell out and sell all of our spots before June 27th, then we'll obviously close the doors down before then. But hopefully you won't have to make a rash decision and you have a little bit of time to sit with whether it's right for you or not. Okay. So I think that's all I have. And I'm so delighted to introduce today's guest on the podcast, George Ramsay. George is one of our visionaries in residence. We have 7 incredible visionaries in residence this year. And, I love George. I love all of our VIRs so much. They're all incredible people. George is a breathwork teacher and just a stellar human being. And I think you're going to love hearing his perspective on breathwork and healing and his experience and really what he's been working on for the last 6 months inside of VIR and working with. George, as I said, is a breathwork teacher. He works at the incredible startup Open, which is amazing. If you're part of the cusp, you've gotten to take some free classes. And honestly, George is kind of a big deal. All of our VRRs are kind of a big deal. I feel like all of them are going to be famous in a year. In 2 years, you're going to be hearing about them. So I'm delighted for you to hear a little bit more about George and what he's up to and how he teaches and how he thinks about breathwork and what his experience of healing has been. And if you want to join George, he's teaching a class with Holisticism in the next few weeks. The class is called Build Your Body Map, How to Use Breathwork to Move Emotion. It's going to be amazing. George we got introduced because George taught a free class during our COVID lockdown free event, 3 months. And George taught a class on breathwork for your inner child. And everyone was crying. There were 300 people and we were all crying. And he's just amazing. So I think you're going to love this class. Even if you're someone who's a little bit afraid of breathwork or you don't get the deal behind breathwork, I think you're going to really love it. Again, class options are always on a sliding scale, so you can choose your price, and you'll also get a replay when you join. So enjoy this conversation with George, and make sure you're signed up for class. Hi, George.
Hello.
Hi, George.
Hi.
I'm genuinely excited. I love you so much.
She does. Every time Thais and I have a meeting about VIRs, which you are one of them, Thais is like, I just love George. I just love him.
I love you. The best support. That's very sweet.
George, we met a year ago, probably around now in quarantine. A mutual friend connected us because at Holisticism we're teaching. We did this crazy thing where I thought it would be a good idea to teach a free class every day of the quarantine because I thought quarantine was going to last 2 weeks. And then 3 months later, I was like, I'm tired. This is a lot of energy. We got to meet so many cool wellness practitioners who came in and taught classes every single day. And you were one of them. And you taught breathwork for inner child. And I remember being like, breathwork for inner child? Oh, no. And then your class was one of the most impactful. I still get messages from people today who are like, that class with George was amazing.
I missed out.
It was so good. It was so good. And I'm
amazing.
Yeah, it's in the Liminal Library, so you can still check it out. But I think that breathwork is really hard. It's really confronting. And so is inner child work. So that combo was ooh, scary, but that's also what makes it so impactful. And I didn't know this at the time, but you had just really begun your foray into breathwork, right? And to teaching breathwork at that time.
Oh yeah. Behind the scenes of me doing that group was me terrified and incredibly nervous. And that was the largest group I'd ever done at the time. So it was a really special day for me.
Yeah. I can't remember how many people we had. I feel like it was close to maybe I don't know, 200, 300?
It was big. Yeah.
It was a big group. And then even more people signed up and watched the replay. Probably tens of thousands of people have watched the replay at this point, which is crazy. And you were so cool, calm, and collected. I thought you'd been like old hat. It's like, this guy must have come out of the womb doing breath work. Like, he's so chill. So first off, how did you get into breath work yourself? And
can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, of course.
What is breath work?
Oh, yeah. So important. What is breath work?
Good question.
How would you define it, George?
I define it as an active meditation practice that you do lying down that allows you to move anything that's stuck in the body. And that could be emotion, that could be limiting beliefs, that could be energy, and they all can be moved by the breath. And it's a practice that is in many ways very confronting, but you do a 3-part breath is the style I teach. Lying down, and when you breathe in this repetitive pattern, you can drop into an altered state and just approach consciousness work, energy work from a different perspective, and usually leave feeling pretty open, blissful, and clear after the session.
I'm really curious because I'm not a breathwork practitioner, but I've done breathwork. I kind of think I know the answer, but I'd love to hear from you, George. Is there under the umbrella of breathwork, are there lots of specific types of breath? How do people because breathwork is kind of a catch-all term, I feel like, similar to meditation, where there's different ways to practice meditation, and there are people who use specific lineages. And I'm just curious, I also honestly, pranayama is a type of breathwork, right? And so I'm curious where cultural appropriation or just how do you make sense of all that? I don't think I'm really having a ton of clarity, but I think it's because it's kind of an opaque conversation. So what do you make of it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a good question. It's such a vague term, and breathwork is such an umbrella term for so many different practices,
exactly.
Most of them have roots in pranayama. Ancient India, this practice was written, usually the breath pattern I teach has roots in the Sanskrit Vedas, and starts way back. And the practice I teach now is a 3-part breath, but that's one of many different styles of breath work. And if we define breath work as controlling your breath in a specific way, there's so many different lineages that fall under that as well.
Yeah. Okay. That totally makes sense. What is Wim Hof?
Wim Hof, he has popularized breath work in so many ways. So he teaches a style of breath work where you do a series of big full inhales and exhales and a series of breath holds. And his work is mainly more for performance, focus, kind of ramping up your energy to drop you in. It really attracts kind of like a bro-y crowd.
Yeah. You do it Wim Hof breath. I feel like you do right before you drop into an ice bath.
Exactly.
And then you beat your naked chest and then you eat some raw red meat,
Exactly. You've got it down for sure. But he's brought a lot of awareness to the field. And then I think folks are realizing, there's so much to learn within this umbrella of breath work.
Yeah. Is his breath work style, you might have mentioned it, does it come from another? Does he kind of did he quote unquote come up with it? Or do you know kind of where, I don't know, it originated from or where he's pulling from?
I actually don't. I have stayed away from his, honestly, breath work because of the kind of culture surrounding it. It's so opposite how I got into this practice. And I just recently am coming around to the whole ice bath movement and using breath in this more performative element, which is fun. And for me, it's like a fun little add-on, but I don't really know. I think he made up the practice himself. And all of this, none of us made it up. People have been teaching breath in every ancient tradition, as long as we've known, has used breath as a core principle. I find it fascinating when folks are trademarking their breath pattern. This is the most universal tool we all have. And for me, it's the beauty of it is that it's free.
Yeah.
Said we all breathe. I have not met anything more universal than breath in my life.
Yeah, and you can't help but breathe. It's not. Wait, are people really trying to trademark breathing?
Oh yeah. When you do a Google search on breath work, there's so many different types now. And folks are teaching specific variations where you manipulate sound or touch or breath holds, kind of categorizing it as their type. And the reason I'm attracted to this practice is because it's very much a practice you can do on your own without paying someone even. And once you know it, you get to transform your life, has been my experience. And so there's no, for me, guru culture around it. There's no like secrecy around it. It's unlocking the breath in your body, which I think is the most personal way to find your own freedom. And that's why I love it.
You said it transforms life. How has breathwork transformed your life?
I think my breathwork journey really started. I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, closeted little gay boy in the South. And I started swimming when I was 6, and they put me in the pool because any ball sport they would have me play, I like notoriously would somehow always get the ball in my face. And I remember playing soccer. It was like, ball in the face, ball in the face, ball in the face. They're like, oh, not ball sports. Let's try swimming. And so I swam competitively from like age 6 all the way up through college. Breath was always such a part of that. And I never realized it, but being a closeted gay boy in the South, swim practice every day was like my time, where I had 2 hours of silence, 2 hours with my breath. And I now realize was my clearing practice. And I've always been a feeler. I like the notorious temper tantrums as a little kid. I never had a problem feeling my feelings, and realizing now the pool was my place to clear emotion. And I'd always come home. My mom would be like, you feel so clear after swim practice. And I was like, what was I like before? She's like, you're better now. It's good for you. And I later realized like I was doing breath work then, and it was controlling and manipulating my breath as a way of clearing stuck emotion and energy in my body. And then later learned this practice about 2 years ago now, and had very similar sensation to after like a good swim practice. And I was like, oh, this feeling of total clarity and embodiment. I was not in the wellness world at all. And the terms and terminology always kind of went over my head. And I did breath work, and I was like, oh, I get it. This is what it means to be in your body. This is what it means to clear stuck energy. And I could physically experience those things when I practiced breath work. And then my life just started changing because I was clearing out old beliefs. I was opening up to what I actually wanted to contribute to the world. I was able to move through the fear that came when I thought about doing that. Life just started getting really fun.
Whoa. Wow, that's how astute of you to see the connection between your breathwork practice as a kid and a teenager, and now the way that you teach breathwork. That's so cool. Also, aren't you like over 6 feet tall? Aren't you a giant person?
I'm a very large person, 6'6".
Oh my gosh. You're 1.5 feet taller than me in size.
Wow. I never would have known. Zoom friends.
I know, right? I think people are going to be surprised when the world opens back up and they meet Michelle and I and like Wallace and Janelle.
We're all like under 5'2".
Really? I had no idea. You really don't know about people because y'all have such big presences. You're just like, I don't know. It could be 6 feet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So funny.
Wow. What was your first, tell me the story of your first breathwork class.
I was in a yoga class, and at the end of the class, they had us do this 3-part breath pattern that I now teach. A now friend of mine, Erin Ward, and I very quickly dropped into what felt like an altered state and was like, what just happened? And she was like, that was breath work. And then I Googled it and found a workshop here in Venice near my house and bought tickets for my partner and I, and it became date night to go do breath work. Neither of us had any idea what we were going to do. And we go into this man's garage in Venice, and he sits in a chair, and he's like, what have I done? And then there's like surround sound music playing. We put on an eye mask. He starts playing the music, teaches us the pattern. And like 2 minutes in, I'm sobbing.
Best date ever. Yeah. That's the best. The way you want your date to go.
I'm like, this is not that far into dating. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, what's this experience? Like, what's going on? Is he hearing me? My deep sobs. And then just got like incredible clarity in that first session on things I'd truly been working on in therapy for like 5-6 years. And was like, what have I been doing? That this efficiency of being able to tune in and get such clarity, I love. And efficiency has always kind of been a thing of mine. I'm a Virgo. And so I love a good clear system, and breathwork for me allowed me to gain perspective that I truly had been like fumbling around. It felt like just recycling the same issues in therapy for so many years. And I just got into business school, got a clear no, don't go to business school. Good things are coming during breathwork. And then started following the intuitive hits I would get when I was breathing, and life just started transforming in a fun way.
So you started getting intuitive hits while you were breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And so just, you know what I'm saying, we all be breathing and like a lot of us will be an intuitive hit. So you're saying that like controlling the breath and being intentional and doing the breath work is when the intuitive hits started happening.
Absolutely.
And then my follow-up question is, you were talking about therapy for 5 years, but then breath work, it just opened and it was like quicker. That was your experience?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so is it because you were in therapy that the breath work was just like, it made it easier what was coming? Or do you think breath work really just was the thing that opened you up?
I think the combination is incredibly powerful. I'll tell folks, therapy helped me gain the framework to understand what was actually happening in my life. And once I had good conscious awareness of my patterns and how I was recreating those and what was happening, then breath work, it felt like moved below those and worked at the energetic layer that was actually operating below all this I was creating in my life. Mm-hmm. And when you get into that layer, I just found the transformation is both more intense and it can be faster.
So would you say therapy was more like the mind experience and breathwork was the body experience? And then
exactly.
Connected those two, it helped with spirit?
Exactly. Yeah. And I had never had honestly, I was not in the wellness or spiritual world before this and would be in therapy sessions, just like totally intellectually processing through everything, having fun with the terminology, and just now I realize fully trapped in my mind, completely avoiding sensation in my body or any feeling. And there was like one time when I cried in therapy like a year in, and I was like, wow, I'm really making progress. And then I did breath work and I'm like sobbing on minute 2. I'm like, this is what I've been avoiding, is feeling my feelings around these things.
Yeah, it's so fun to be smart in therapy.
Right?
But it's like such a waste of money.
Yeah.
You know who said that? Brene Brown. She was just like, I'm a therapist. Or she was like, I know. Tell me all of my shameful things because I know all of the things. And it's easy to intellectualize because like we can compartmentalize in that way.
Mm-hmm. Even like I notice my language sometimes when I'm talking to my therapist, like I get more like buttoned up and like I sound more intellectual. I wrap it up in a bow as like a way of like guarding it, the information. It's so interesting.
You also find that you try to say the right things in therapy?
I used to a lot more. Now I say things, well, I usually caveat things by saying, evil Michelle would do this. My therapist is like, that's really what we've been working on for the past 2 years, is there's no such thing as evil Michelle. But yeah, I do. What about you?
Yeah, well, I found myself like, it's this thing of childhood of always like doing the right thing to get the check or like always getting the approval. So even in therapy, like I found myself saying the thing. It was just like, I know that this is what he wants me to say, so I'm going to say the thing. And it was just like, after a while, I was just like, I got to stop this so I can, maybe I should do breath work so I could feel the feelings.
Could be good. Yeah, I did the same thing. The impress the therapist game. Look how self-aware I am and look how much I've thought through this already. Yeah.
Yeah, I can process. I know. I can undo the things. But then I wasn't. I was just saying it.
Yeah.
George.
Sometimes when that happens, because I feel it like I know it, right? Like I'm like intellectually I understand what you're telling me, but like I don't get it. Like I get it, but I don't get it. I try to just say that of like, I'm smart. I know I'm smart. I know I'm picking up what you're throwing down, but like, I don't believe you. So, and that usually helps me get over the hump, but it's still hard.
It's very hard. Very, very hard. Yeah.
But we stand therapy here, obviously.
Of course. 100%.
Would you say that breath work is hard for someone who like, I've never actually done breathwork. My only breathwork experience was with you, George, that one time when I was just like, oh. And then we did something like for a minute. And I recalled afterwards just like really liking how I felt. But it seems like it's kind of hard only because breathing is so easy that I'm like, there has to be some sort of like thing to this, like how meditating you have to like calm your thoughts and like all of these things. What would you say about like breath work? Is it hard?
Yes. I would say,
full stop.
Yeah, period. Breath work, the name like implies what you're getting into. There is work involved. And it's hard usually for the first 5 to 10 minutes. So in a normal session I teach, we're breathing actively for about 30 minutes. And the first 5 to 10 minutes, resistance really rises. And it's like a workout. You're in there, you don't want to be doing it. Your mind throws all these thoughts out, like breathe a little less, or don't follow that sensation, or pull back a bit, which is just the ego trying to keep us in what it knows, the safe mode. And when we know there is usually stuck emotion in our bodies, the mind wants to run as far away as possible. And so it's almost funny and comical to me. I do this practice almost every day, and almost every day there's still resistance and some little excuse of like, oh, you forgot an email, or go check your phone, or like breathe a little less today. You're good. You did it yesterday. And you just have to kind of release the thought and come back to the breath pattern. And then that's when you get to really drop into the transformative effect.
Breath work is so hard, and it's so confronting. We just had a class on Open, actually, with Allie.
Oh.
I think, George, we're going to take a class with you, too, inside the Cusp, which is our Hype Beast wellness community. And we had 100 Cuspies in the room taking class. And afterwards, we had a debrief on Zoom with everyone to see how they liked, Open and what they thought. And across the board, everyone was like, I did not want to go. I did not when I was there. And then we started breathing, and I was like, I'm out. I don't want to be here anymore. And it's not because the class was amazing. Allie's amazing. Open was amazing. Breathwork is an amazing practice. It's just because it's so much. It's so uncomfortable too, to be in our bodies. Like, I think all the three of us talking, right? It's not safe to be in our bodies all the time, given society, where society's at. And so if you are given the opportunity to be in the body and not be distracted even by movement, to just be breathing, because I think movement can sometimes be a distraction when people are like, running is my meditation. I'm like, no, dude. No, it's not. Meditation is your meditation. Running is something else, and that's totally fine, but they're different things. Yeah, I think it's really scary and confronting and foreign to many of us. So everyone across the board was like, breathwork is so hard. But then at the end of it, they were euphoric. And, our class was only 15 minutes on Open. And the way everyone's eyes were like bright and shiny, like they were so excited and happy. And many said that they cried, but they just felt like so clear. And I think it's such an incredible tool, because you can get to that point in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, however long you have. And it doesn't need to be, I don't know, this like catastrophic event where you're like totally upending your entire world and digging into your deepest traumas in order to get massive results from it, or to feel something massively from it.
Absolutely. It gets to be so simple sometimes. And I'm moving more breath into my body. And when I do that, I can open up to the world. And I feel like it's turning up the brightness on life after. And you come out of a session and just experience more ease and play. And I'm way more creative after too.
I have to do breathwork with
I'm laughing, Thais, because like we've had so many opportunities for you to try breathwork.
I know. Every time you all like talk about something, and I'm like, how do I not know this? Like, I know it should.
Like, we've taught breathwork in North Node.
Late. I just in my own world, and I gotta come to it when I come to it. But breathwork sounds like honestly, if I come out of breathing and I have more creativity, like, why would I not do that? And also, something that sounds appealing about breathwork is, though it's hard, it sounds easy, and it feels very, very personal. And like, I'm thinking about yoga or meditation or the things that, we normally do. And those things require, I feel like, sometimes external things or knowledge of how to do certain moves or how to still your mind. And I know that breathwork, it sounds like there's like stilling your mind as well, but just thinking about breathing, the thing that is always there and will never leave you. Your breath will never leave until you die. And so it's just like, do it until you die.
100%.
That's the tweet. That's the tweet. Do it until you die, breathing.
That was weird. Kind of funny. Whatever.
George, when you're planning class, do you think about like the transformation you want to offer? Is there like a specific thing you're trying to get out of every class? Like I know when meditation teachers or yoga teachers are class planning, sometimes they'll have a theme or an intention. Is it the same for the breath and the way that you pick the music and the way that you like, I don't know, how you sort of channel what comes through?
Absolutely. My rule with breathwork has been the only person I'm teaching or really healing is myself. And so all I can really do is do my own practice. And if it happens that I have insight about how that works and what it feels like and how to move through it, I share those. And I really am only holding space for other people to drop into their own experience. So I do plan class themes and I hold them very lightly because I'll tell folks, this may resonate, this may not. When you start doing breath work, you're going to drop into your body. Yours is completely different than mine. I'm holding a container and you're really guiding yourself. And so the themes are fun and helpful. And I think give folks an inroad. And usually the theme is so universal that most folks can relate to it. But it's really just something for the mind to lock into so that you can get into your own practice. And then once you're in there, my experience is whatever needs to come through will come through. And it's often may start at that theme and then take you on a whole different journey.
What are some themes that is explored in breathwork?
Truly everything, unlocking creativity, building your discernment, connecting to your intuition. I'm doing a group starting on Monday for a group of gay men, and we're kind of exploring an emotion in each of the 4 sessions. So what's my relationship with anger, sadness, joy, and fear, and how do each of those show up in my body in different ways? So that I find during breath work, you feel the sensation of the emotion in a really distinct way, and then encourage folks to kind of build their body map of what each emotion feels like in their body, so that when we're not in a breath work session, I can more quickly identify day to day, when is joy here? When is emotion? What emotion is actually in my body? And how do I know by the sensation that's moving through?
As a gay man, do you feel like there's representation for you in the wellness space and in breath work?
No. Yeah, there's one. I mean, I was in these healer trainings and there were queer folks in the room, but I think I was the only gay man in almost all the trainings I was a part of. And then luckily found one other gay man, Ryan Allen, who I adore, who kind of became a breathwork healer that I went to frequently to do my own work, and have not experienced many others, but it's growing. I think in New York, seems to be there's a few more, and the community is definitely growing in LA as well. But my experience was when I started doing this practice, the hit I got was go share this with other gay men. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Please, no. That's the last thing I want to do. I don't want to be this guy with a new practice coming in to teach people how to breathe. It was terrifying.
Yeah. Why don't you want to share it?
Because it meant me confronting and my own shadow, which was facing myself and what I think is actually a gift of mine, and having to face that and stand in it and own it. And that level of being seen in my community was terrifying.
100. I get it. And then you said yes to it anyway. How brave.
I did. And then posted the group, and it of course filled up in 3 days. And I was like,
of course.
Gosh, why? It's so easy when we listen.
I guess I have to keep doing this. Damn it.
But it's so scary to get to that point. I read this quote on the other side of fear. It's freedom.
Absolutely.
Every time when I'm afraid, it's like, okay, just know that you're getting closer to being free. And the thing that you are afraid of, there are other people who cross the threshold and they are also free, and you'll find your people. So as doing breath work for gay men, and you had that class and it filled up in 3 days, what was something that surprised you the most about that experience?
I remember the circle at the end of the group, folks sharing, and one person was like, oh my gosh, we're talking about our feelings and our emotions. This is kind of fun. I was truly the first time this person had experienced that, I think, in a gay community. And it felt safe and it felt fun and it felt light, but it felt connective, which was the environment I wanted to create to show that this was possible. And when we do this, we actually enjoy our relationships with each other more, because my experience in many gay spaces is it falls back on things that are not deep emotional connection. And that's what I seek and want. And so I was complaining about that for years and years and years. And then finally decided, okay, I can complain about this, or I can go create the space I want to be in and actually set the container for other folks to experience that. with the hope that when they do, they'll realize, oh, this leads to deeper, more meaningful relationships. And I actually feel more alive when I connect with folks in this way. So just seeing those connections is just so powerful, and how little you really have to do. Just give folks the space, and then folks are ready for it. I think all of us really want that. And so it's beautiful to hold a container for folks to drop into.
Do you think that the sort of keeping feelings at an arm's length distance for the gay community or the gay men's community, do you think that that is informed by the AIDS crisis and the trauma of the AIDS crisis that wasn't, it was 25 years ago, but still persists today?
That's so interesting. I have not connected the two, honestly, until you say that now, but it makes a lot of sense. And just the extreme loss and grieving that happened during that time too within the community. And I have a good amount of men who were very much involved during that time coming back to do groups with me now that are really saying, I'm ready to finally face things I've been holding for 10, 20 years and start to do healing work around it. And to me, just thinking, if this had only been available, it was, and I'm not sure how many breathwork circles were happening during that time, but it's such a beautiful tool just to be together, to grieve together, to move through it together, and to really get to hold each other through an individual and collective experience.
Yeah, that almost made me cry when you started saying that. And I think about that an entire generation of elders was lost. And how that happens in communities that experience marginalization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then just taking that a step further, looking from on the outside, looking in, just seeing how people had to move on, or because it was such taboo, AIDS, all of that, how people weren't able to grieve because they couldn't even publicly talk about it, or there was so much shame around that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like knowing, being around a lot of gay men in my 20s in New York, and just seeing the world, which felt a lot like going to parties, hooking up with other guys, not to put generalizations on it, but this was my experience with it. What you're offering just sounds so refreshing, because to me it feels like, and you please let me know, but it feels like that is so much a part of gay culture, is just the fun and the parties and the boys and all of the things, that this just feels like molasses almost.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm going for. Yeah. That's been my experience. Gay men are good at delivering on fun. We've got that figured out. And I think there's so much more to be had on the other end of the spectrum. And both of them together, I think, is true magic. And so my intention is, we got the fun. Let's figure out deep connection. And then in the middle, we're going to really create magic together. Because doing healing work while having fun, I think, is the ultimate combo.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, we talk a lot about how healing doesn't have to be such a slog, you know, it doesn't have to be painful. It can be painful. Sometimes it's painful and it's uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to be just self-flagellation all the time. That sounds like such a boner killer, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. Sometimes healing is fun. I remembered when I was a kid and I would ride my bike and get scuffs on my knees, and then I would see those scabs forming and then be like, I'm healing. And it was just cool because I was one day these, I won't have this bruise and it won't hurt anymore. And so looking at healing as you're literally healing, and just knowing that you're getting better. Sometimes I think that can be fun too, even when it's oh, this sucks, but I know it's good.
Totally. And you get to go ride a bigger bike after that, and it's more fun. You go flying down another hill because you're better at it, for sure.
George, this is your theme for your Visionary in Residence, sort of vision for 2021 is healing for gay men and bringing breathwork to gay men. I want to talk about VIR and you, and I feel like it's obvious for anyone who's listening, why you're part of VIR. For anyone who's listening, I bury the lead. Visionary in Residence is an incubator/residency program that we do with 7 practitioners in the wellness space over a year-long period of time, where we give them resources and care and support and amplify their missions and their voices. Your name obviously got thrown into the ring, and I had already had that amazing experience with you, and it just felt so right. And I know as soon as Thais met with you, she was like, George is so special.
How I felt at first, though, George. I was like,
the truth comes out.
Yes, let's hear it.
no. So the first time when we all had our meeting, I was like, I don't know, Michelle. And then when I met with you, it's because, you know what, truly it's because I'm used to people being like, yeah, no, I'm so excited. And you were so not that. And I was like, does he want to do this? And so on our meeting when it was just me and you, I think it goes back to the thing about molasses. Your energy feels kind of just like molasses, like it's moving, it's slow, it's sure, all of the things, and it doesn't have to be big. And that's when I was just like, oh, this is cool. So yeah, that's the picture.
I love knowing that. Thank you for revealing. So good. Yeah, my
That's why
energy
we're
is
a good
molasses.
team.
That is spot on. And the truth is, I got the email to be invited, and I was like, oh, this is a mistake. So I just ignored the email. I was like, they wouldn't want me to do this. No way.
No, you did not.
Truly. I was like, I think this is like a missend, or I'm like misreading
You're like, is this a
content.
spam?
Yeah.
Are they spamming me right
I thought
now?
it was like something like that. And then you followed up, and I was like, oh, really? And so that first call, I was just like, oh, wow, these people are goddesses. They have to rise to the occasion.
Oh, man. Well, it's a mutual love fest over here, but we're so excited about what you're doing. And I know that it was Thais and you really worked to work through some shadow work to come to this sort of vision for what you want to bring to the world. So how is it sort of shaping up? I mean, our job as your team is to help you sort of craft this etheric thing into something a little bit more material or tangible, or just ground it in a way. And the goal with VIR over the next year is not for you to produce a product or a thing. That's not the point, but really to deepen this exploration. Just like an artist residency, the point isn't to make work, it's to create and be in the experience. So I'm curious for you, how is that work coming along, and what are you doing, and what's your vision right now for what you think you're working towards, with keeping in mind that it is subject to change and probably will change as you learn more?
Right now I'm trying to reflect on what is my journey as a gay man who is constantly healing been, and what are the practices that have really allowed me to show up and face what needs attention. And then within that, what are the stories that allow folks to understand what doing healing work meant? I, before this, worked in education, was a middle school teacher, and was not at all in the wellness world. And so sometimes for me, the lingo or the practice can push folks away. And so I wanted to do this in a way that allows gay men who I make up, based on my experience inviting them to breathwork groups so far, are a little resistant to the practice already, feel really accessible, and showing for folks too, why are we doing all this healing work? For what? So that we can be more in our aliveness, so that we can experience more joy, so that we can have deep, connective, fun relationships. So showing the arc of why healing matters, both for individuals and for our community as a whole, through storytelling. And so the vision right now is to do a little mini short film that documents stories of gay men that are moving through healing by using breathwork as a tool, and seeing what their individual story looks like, what it looks like when we come together in group, and then includes too, what are some really simple, concrete practices I can do on my own if I'm ready to dive into this work.
It's going to be so good. Whatever ends up happening is going to be so amazing. But I can't wait to watch that. I can't wait to experience that healing experience, through your eyes and through the eyes of the people who are having it. It feels like a precious gem that I don't get access to, that I want to see, and I want to see it shine, and I want to see it from all the angles. I want to hold it up to the sun and see all the facets of it. I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens. But I imagine that teaching middle school very much prepared you for skepticism and difficulty and resistance of people who are I don't want to be here right now.
100%. Where did I teach? In Richmond, California.
Where's Richmond?
In the Bay Area, just north of Berkeley.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Did you teach it a hippie school?
No, well, in some ways, it was through Teach for America, and it was a school in Richmond that was trying to do a personalized learning model, and it was this really high-tech school that was trying to focus on individual needs and build out individualized learning plans for each student. Really fascinating. And You're right. I got taught resistance on day one. I walked into my classroom and we were getting paired with like our mentees that we'd then be with for the following years that they were at school. And I got paired with a student and she looked me dead in the eyes and she was like, I do not want you to be my mentor. And walked away. And I was like, okay, my first day of teaching going really well. They love me already. So like the pushback I got in those years of my life, I mean, yeah, now I'm just like, cool. You don't want to do breath work? We're good.
Oh my gosh. Kids.
What about happening with her?
She now emails me like weekly, is now in college and is thriving. And we had a really fascinating relationship. I mean, I was struggling. Teaching is truly the hardest job I'll ever have. And one day she came in after class. It was like, Mr. Ramsay, you're a hot ass mess. You need my help. And I was like, okay. She's like, I'm appointing myself as your class manager. I'm going to come in tomorrow with roles for everyone and new systems for the class. And I was like, great. You do it. And so she became like a true buddy and champion of my class over the year. But I'd hear almost every day for that first year, the only thing I want is to get switched out of this class. It's the one thing I need. Every assignment she'd do, she'd write that at the end. If I could have my one wish, I'd get switched out of this class.
Whoa.
What was I teaching?
Yeah.
Math and science.
Oh, dang. That's so different from breathwork.
So different. And I wasn't there. That's where, I mean, my journey to this was such a ping pong experience of doing what I thought other people thought I should do. And then finally coming into, oh, this is my gift. This is where it meets what the world needs from me right now. But it was the connection with students. It was building community. It was understanding emotional intelligence and all the beautiful emotions that run through a seventh grader, and such valuable, incredible lessons. And now realize I was really just holding space for 30 children to move through what it's like to be in middle school for a day. And the math and the science were secondary to that.
I was just talking to my partner last night. We were talking about middle school. I was like, you could not pay me to do that again. And it's so traumatic. And like, what are we going to do when our kids are in middle school? Like, how can I protect them? It was so hard. He got bullied in middle school. Like, I don't want that. I don't know. But I guess as a parent, you just kind of have to throw your hands up and be like, this is the world. And I hope that I can like give you enough love to I don't know, combat all the shittiness that happens, or have amazing teachers that can guide you through it.
Or hopefully have parents who are doing breathwork with their children so that they can navigate middle school.
There you go.
That's
100%.
That's what's up. Breathwork in classrooms.
Yes.
Breathwork in class. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to put that on you, George, but I feel like you already got the expertise.
I know, it's happening in some realm. Yeah. I've started working with teachers again to be like, you have the hardest job in the world, and set an intention this year of wanting to work with more educators. And so now I'm working with a nonprofit to do monthly groups for school leaders and teachers. Cause you talk about picking up energy. You pick up so much being in a classroom all day. And then my experience was I took it home, wasn't conscious of it, numbed out every day, and then did it again. And so I'm really excited to see what can this practice be for folks that are in classrooms.
Yeah. And even thinking about like a middle schooler who might be closeted, being able to do breath work to move that energy and maybe they can't connect to it in that way, but one day when they're grown up, and similarly to how you're swimming and moving that energy, they can have like recall, where it's just like breath work is the thing that brought me through my emotions.
100%. And that's great. I love that. It's such a personal practice too. They can do on their own. Yeah, that would be so fun.
I always thought it would be cool I, for a while, was really into getting wellness into schools. I'm still into it, but my focus has just shifted. Like, you can only do one thing at a time. And I always thought it would be so interesting to have some sort of app, because so many teachers have, tech in their classrooms now, which is great. But to have like a 10-minute, like right before class started or at the beginning of the day, where students are like in their own bubble, where they get to have their like wellness moment, and they could pick from sort of like a bunch of different things, whether it's a meditation or like even like, drawing or movement or breath work, to like just settle themselves in that moment and to check in with their mood. Because I have a friend who was teaching here in LA at a charter school, and she had a lot of kids who, were English was their second language and their parents were immigrants, and there's a lot of trauma. And she was saying how so many of them just like they had carried so much with them to school, and she didn't have enough hours in the day to like be with them processing it. And it was necessary, just like you said, George, like, yeah, she was teaching English, but like really she was like holding space for these people to be human. The English was secondary. And she was like, I just didn't have what I needed. I couldn't be with every single one of them. And she was so worried for all of them. They were high school kids, about what was going to happen to them, and like, were they okay? And how, I don't know, I'm getting in the weeds about it, but like, I wish there was something where we could sort of like gauge kids' moods and emotions and sort of like ask them to self-reflect, and also just to make sure that like they are okay, because I don't know, there's so much happening in the world. There's so much trauma that our kids are going through, even at schools, like the fear of violence at schools that's going to come back as soon as kids are back in schools. I just can't imagine what it's like to be a kid going through the world at this moment in time.
Oh yeah. And they're just the most resilient, amazing people, and hold it with such grace and poise in ways that I, as an adult, cannot imagine moving through what I watched my students move through in the few years I was with them too.
Yeah. Teachers and parents, like people who are caregivers, are 100% the most underrated do not get paid enough in this society. I think that everyone who has a child at home should be paid to at least have the option to stay home and take care of them if they want to.
Yeah, because that's
like,
labor.
It's 100% labor, and it's the most important thing that we can do. I think. I mean, I don't know.
100%.
Maybe brain surgery, but like raising children is really up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about having an impact on our world and society. Yeah. Focus on our kids.
Totally. This has been so wonderful, and I want to make sure that we cover absolutely everything that you wanted to talk about, George, and everything that you're excited about. So is there anything that we should have on our radar as the Holisticism community of what you're up to and that we should be tracking?
Yeah. If you want to come try some breath work, great way to do it is on Open. They have 20, 30-minute classes, and just a nice way to drop in and experience a shorter breathwork session. And then I also offer one-on-one sessions for folks that are willing to really dive in and commit to the practice. And those are all virtual and available on my website too.
What's your website?
George-Ramsay.com. And Ramsay is Ramsay.
Beautiful. Yeah. Open is amazing. Open's like the Peloton of meditation and breathwork. And George is one of their inaugural teachers, which is kind of a big deal.
It is. Also a group that reached out and I was like, what? Me? Really?
What do you think this means, that you are like, that you're like, what, me really? But that people are noticing you and seeing you?
I think it means I'm like finally for the first time in my life slowly starting to get out of my own way and doing my own work and breaking down like my beliefs about what's possible in my life. And it's ironic that the tool I use to do that is the tool people are inviting me to share with other people.
It's pretty meta.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like thinking about listening to you talk about how things come to you so easily. And then also when you got out of your own way, how it was so easy, and you've seen the impact that it has had on people who really need it. It's just like, yeah, the universe is conspiring and your ancestors are all working because what you have is what the world needs. And so it will be easy. I mean, it's not going to be like seamless, but the journey there, the assistance to get there, it's going to be easy because you deserve a life of ease to heal the rest of the world, you know?
Absolutely. And I want to be clear at the beginning, this was the thing my mind wanted me to do the least. I would like look at people in these roles and be really critical and judgmental. And it was, of course, me like resisting what I think I was actually meant to open up to. And now that I've worked through all those layers of judgment, I'm like, oh yeah, it gets to be really easy on the other side of that. If we're willing to release all these perceived expectations about what we're meant to do in the world. But it took me really surrendering into, I'm a breathwork facilitator, and that's enough.
Is it because you had resistance to the wellness world?
It is. And I had so many stories about like what I should be doing. I'd gotten into business school before this, and it was a complete move of, if George does this, he'll make his parents proud and it'll look really good. And how to become an entrepreneur and like follow this little ladder of success that I was watching people around me do. Ugh. And I was like, no, that's not authentic to me. And yes, those things could happen, but I was fully doing them at that point from a place of extrinsic motivation, and it did not come within. And I had very little energy around it because of that. But it took breathwork helping me realize, okay, you can let those things fall away and not have to know what's next, and then really open up to it as things start coming in.
I'm just curious to see where your path continues to take you, because you have so much in you. Like, you contain multitudes. I know that that's cheesy, but I see so much for you. And where you are right now is also perfect and completely enough. But I feel like this is the reason you're one of our visionaries in residence. Like, I do think that you're a visionary. So I'm excited to see the world that you envision and how the world can be coming to life, because I think it will be beautiful.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. I see the both in the same of you too.
Thanks, we try.
You do a great job.
Well, on that note, Thais, is there anything else that we're missing?
No, but I'm really excited to have you in the wellness world, because I understand like the whole preconceived notions and just being like, yeah, I'm good on that. And then being in the wellness world and being like, yeah, I'm still good on that. But then when you have people that are like what we're doing at Holisticism, or you, George, I'm like, it's so cool because it's like different people and it's like more representative of the world. And so I get you on the whole, like, not wanting to be in wellness, but now that you're in wellness, it's just like, you're in wellness, but there's so much that goes into this other than like food. No offense to food, but like, you know.
Totally. And that's why I'm so excited to find you all. I've been a Holisticism stan for a while, and it was like, oh yeah, they get it in the same way. When I enter this, I want to be in it that way. So thank you for paving a path where that can look like.
Yes, Michelle, out here paving paths.
Truly.
Thanks. I deeply understand and resonate with, I fucking hate, well, you didn't say this, George, but this is my experience. I hate it here. I do not like the wellness space, but I also can't deny spirituality literally saved my life. You know, I saw a healer who, after one session with him, I never had another seizure again. And it was like, I can't ignore this. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. I want to ignore this so badly and pretend like this is stupid, but it's not. And what does that mean about me? Like, and everything that for me, it was like, everything I've ever thought was stupid, maybe I'm wrong about. Like, maybe I shouldn't have written it off, or like, yeah, why is that so important to me to, like, I don't know, sort of differentiate myself from this world or aspects of this world. And I think that's what we explore a lot here at Holisticism, is like, how can we be in this world but not of it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, you embody that so fully, Michelle. Beautifully. I said to Michelle last week, she's like a mystical typewriter, because her writing around this work demonstrates those ideas so beautifully for people in a way that it allows you to think, oh yeah, that's how you can think through this and make sense of it all in such beautiful, compelling ways. So thank you.
Yeah. On that note, I recall you wrote like a poem. Actually, I feel like it was a poem. It was a free write poem, Michelle, and you were just like free writing, like wellness. It's all crystals and like all of these like incense and da da da. And I remembered reading. This was like a year and a half or 2 years ago, and I read that in your newsletter, and I was just like, oh snap, that's what I be thinking too. And that's when I like looked. I was like, who is this lady that like is saying these things? And that's how I got into it. But yeah.
George, if it helps you, Thais was also skeptical of me when she first met me and was not sure if she liked me or not. She's
Michelle.
She was very skeptical. You know, I won her over. It's still a daily practice of being like trying to win over Thais.
Well, we do have our moments, but it's great. We're in this for life.
I like that. I like people who really challenge, you know, who make you work for it. I like that.
Thais, do you know your Enneagram number?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. I'm going to send you a quiz.
Oh my gosh. Yes. George is the Enneagram expert.
learning. I'm starting to do trainings. It's similar to Myers-Briggs. It's like a personality test that kind of maps out your type, which is one of 9 numbers. And it's based on the ideas we all have a core fear as a child, and that core fear can kind of create a personality, and then you get a number, and there's a whole system around it.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think I'm a disruptor.
Yeah, I think you might be an 8.
Oh, an 8.
It's a challenger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But she also could be a 4. Because she's the 4 is creative and feeling, and the fear is not being special. I'm a 4, so not to drag you. I'm also a 4.
Yeah, no, you just read me, and that's true. I do want to be special.
Gotta be
we
unique.
all do.
Yeah.
We all do. George, which one are you again? You're the same as my partner.
I'm a 9.
Yeah.
The peacemaker. Peacemaker mediator.
Oh, that would make sense for why you are like molasses.
That's why I'm like boring molasses. Yeah. Just smooth, calm energy.
Yeah. I like that. Did you say boring molasses? Molasses is not boring.
I did.
No.
Molasses is so like strong, I feel like. Because it just be coming in real slow. Like you can't help but pay attention to molasses because it's like, dang, you just taking your time. So I don't know. I would just be like, you have a lot of audacity to just be moving. You just like, yo, like I don't think that's boring. I'm like, that's really bold in a world that's so fast for you to move slow.
It's true.
Like,
yeah.
I clearly know that you got it. So
that's true.
I took like 2 weeks to call my cousin back last week, and the first thing he says is like, "Wow, I would love to be on your timeline for returning calls."
Oh, shady.
I was like, thank you. I love my timeline. It's really spacious over here.
There's when you said molasses at first, there's this weird historical event that was the molasses flood that happened in Boston. Do you guys know about this?
No.
I think I'm pretty sure it was Boston. I don't remember the year. I think it's the 1800s, but this molasses sort of like, I don't know, container holder, gigantic. It had like tons and tons and tons and tons of molasses, exploded, and it caused a flood and it actually, like, this is scary, but it killed people because molasses is so thick and so heavy, and it picks up speed as the cause it's a heavy mass. And so it was, can you imagine just this like wave of like fast moving, really powerful molasses, like taking down, I think it took down like houses. Like it was like a tsunami of molasses going through Boston.
Wow. That's terrifying.
I didn't know that molasses actually moved faster at any point, but that makes a lot of sense if we're comparing George to molasses, because to me it's like the more you do this and the more you go and you grow and you build and you pick up speed, like there is and become a tsunami. That's really what it is. You're becoming a tsunami, like a tsunami in the universe.
Wow.
Your commitment to this metaphor is amazing.
It truly is. You're blowing my mind. I'm eventually going to pick up speed, it sounds like.
But no, I think that you're right. It's like, this is like, it's exponential. You know, your power is exponential, and it's like every micro increments that you move, and then eventually it's like a force that can't be reckoned with. Like, it just is, it's so powerful. And it doesn't happen in one fell swoop. It happens like drop by drop. Anyways, I really want to make molasses cookies now, so maybe I'll do that. Send them your way, George.
Next time we can eat molasses cookies together. You want to do this?
Yes, I can't wait till we all get to meet in person once we are fully vaccinated and it's safe to do so.
Yeah, and I can't wait for the world to see your project on screen. Yeah, it's so healing. And one of the things I think you're also going to do with this is get to root causes or explore roots within like the gay male community. So why is it that we do this, and what are the like things that happen as a result? So I think exposing roots is so imperative towards like growth, and I'm excited for us to see what that looks like on screen with your work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, breathwork is good at getting into the roots. It'll get there quickly, and I'm excited to expose to what those are for other folks and my own.
Well, George, this was so lovely. You're such a gem. We're so lucky to have you and to know you and to be able to just amplify your work. And we already did we tried to do an outro, but then we kept talking. So we already know all the website stuff. We'll put it in our show notes, but we adore you. We just think you're the best. And we're so happy that the community gets to know you too. And everyone who's listening, go follow George and see what he's up to and support his work. It's really important and beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you all. Such amazing support. And I love being with you all and spending some time together.
All right. That is our episode. I hope that you enjoyed learning more about George Ramsay and his process and his experience as a breathwork teacher and someone who's in their healing process. I just love him so much. And I think he's such an amazing teacher and I just love him. I hope you can come to his class, Build Your Body Map, How to Use Breathwork to Move Emotion, next week. And make sure that you sign up I'll put the link below so you can grab your ticket. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, we're doing a giveaway this month. So if you rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, and then you send us a screenshot of your review, we will enter you to win our raffle. And our raffle giveaway this month is Holisticism swag. So you'll get stickers and a keychain and some other cute goodies from Holisticism. We can't wait to deliver them to you. All right. That's all I have. I cannot wait to hear what you think about this episode. I can't wait to see you in our Summer Solstice Fest tomorrow. And for those of you who join the North Node between now and next Tuesday, I can't wait to meet you. All right. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. Bye.